So, do you guys need another minute or are we ready? I started the video.
So your local machine itself.
It'll take you a second to get set up. All right, so this is what we did last time, and I just kind of want to revisit it a little bit. We wanted to create a data warehouse, right, which means reconverting, taking the relational database and turning it into a new structure that has dimensions and fact tables. So this is the script that we did last time, and I just pulled it off the blog. Right, so we creating the new database, community assist warehouse. We basically, the structure of the database, I think, is fine. We were having problems, so we basically created a DIM for employee, a DIM for client, a DIM grant date, DIM grant, DIM date. All of the dimension tables are basically just ways of gathering descriptors for those things. You know, they're just describing the things. And then the fact is the part where we will analyze. I mean, the things that we will analyze, particularly the grant request amount and the grant allocation amount. Some databases have more stuff to analyze. Our problem was that when we ran it, we were getting a whole bunch of extra rows in the fact table. So one other thing is we added all of these as alters because we'll basically drop them. We'll do that today and then add them back again. So it's easier if the script is already there. So the insert into employee is fine, I think. This is the old insert. This is the insert into the, into the client. And actually it will work. It just will give you a couple of duplicates. If they have a duplicate address, it will duplicate them in the thing. So this is Turner's code. That gets rid of the duplicate. It has a subquery in it. And it also uses something I hadn't seen. Does it use something I haven't seen before? Where you're doing an inner join with a subquery, which is kind of, what do they call that? There's a term for that kind of structure. It works.
Hacky?
What?
Hacky?
No, I think that there's a technical term. It's like, remember we did those tables where in SQL, we did a thing where the actual table was a subquery. There's a name for that. Table expressions, I believe. Anyway, that's actually works. I'm just seeing if there's anything. And then you did a subquery here too. I think actually an inner join would work there, but a subquery works fine. And a subquery actually is a little bit better in not returning duplicates. So this is in the blog too. I'm just going to go back to the blog for a moment. So there's all of my code at the start. And then I said, here's Turner's script, which works a little bit better. So it's the same, basically the same thing, but I copied this one out for the client. And then the other thing that is different, and I just changed my script, is in the date one. So let's look at the date. And I thought of this when we did it last time. It needs to be distinct. I think one of the reasons why we had so many versions of some things, the duplication is that, one, there was duplication in the clients because of different addresses, and two, we got a row in the date. We got a row for the date. We got a row for the year. We got a row for the month. I think it just, tripled, quadrupled everything there too. What?
Where does that distinct?
The distinct
So we
always,
did it in the dim employee?
this is so dim date. Yeah, just select distinct. Distinct always follows the select.
I just wasn't sure which. I couldn't track it
Yeah.
with my eyes.
Yeah, that's fine. I know these are hard to do.
Distinct.
If I run this, I'm going to run it from the very top, and then we can walk through it again if you need. So I'm going to actually rebuild the whole database, which you don't necessarily have to do. But other than if you don't do that,
Remember the last part, it wasn't working because.
yes, so I fixed it.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is the
of course,
fix.
Oh, that's what I said.
Yes. Yeah.
Some block.
Did you get that from GitHub?
No, it's on the blog. It should be the top entry.
And go to Canvas. Take Canvas and get yourself into Canvas.
The effect of it is, so it's the very top entry.
Yeah, oh, I just wanted.
Yeah.
To get it. So is that distinct is in dim?
If you want to just copy, if you need to copy a
Okay,
script, you could just copy Turner's.
the entire thing.
You can if you want. I mean, it's essentially the same except for a couple variations on the inserts.
Mainly horrific abuse of subqueries.
No, actually, well, subqueries are
And
useful.
yours, the
So in my
You did.
script, I just took, so the tables are all the same. The alters are all the same.
What did you-
I used Turner's query for the dim client. And then the other thing that I did is I put a distinct on the date. Select distinct. Those are the only
Is that
differences.
under the dim client?
Yeah. So dim client, I use Turner's. If you use mine, it's not horrible.
I'm just.
It adds like 3 rows, 3 or 4 rows.
Do we even have the dim client?
What?
I can't find it. Oh, is that the one with like 50 inner joins?
No, it doesn't have 50. The one that has the most is the fact. Yeah. Populating these is hard. We do need the script because we're going to use the script in the SSIS, which is what the goal is for today, is to make the SSIS to repopulate
Where's
this.
dim client? Oh, okay. So you write more distinct. I'm just trying to.
So when I did the dim date, I did select distinct.
I think I added that in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to now. I did.
Wait,
the
can I take
dim
a look
client.
at, insert into the background.
So I didn't make any changes there, but this works just fine
You see what?
Can you
when I make those other changes.
take away the comment, it isn't working.
Oh, yeah, I could take away the comment isn't working.
Oh, no.
Not that that matters a whole lot, but it is working now. It's not,
Yeah.
that's not that wasn't the problem. It was the other dim table.
Can you go back to dim line, please?
Although, you, as I said, you can steal this one directly from the blog. It's under Turner's dim.
It's just not wanting to.
And if you use mine, as I said, it's not fatal. It just has a couple of duplicates. It's not like it has dozens of duplicates. It comes out on mine. It comes out to 90 somewhere instead of 89 rows. What this does is it only returns the top address. So if a person has 2 addresses, it only returns one of them.
Specifically, the first one that was entered into the database
Yeah.
because I couldn't figure out a better way to do it. I just didn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense to do it another way. What I'm not sure is for the analysis. So one of the effects of the analysis, if you don't do this, is that some people's, I think about 4 or 5 people is all, will have their requests doubled because it'll do a row for each and it'll repeat the.
Can you come over here, please? So this is all I see on these runners for the DIM clients, which is quite less than you have.
Yeah, so I didn't do, it's actually insert into, is that the one?
This, oh, it's this whole thing.
Yes.
I'm confused. What is where?
Yeah, no, it's a, look into the script. I mean, you can type that if you want, but it'll take a while.
I copied it, I pasted
Okay.
it, and I'm just gonna compare the two. Thank you.
So it's still zero effect. Is that visible?
It means it did not work. What?
No error.
Yeah.
Because it won't even let you shut this
Well.
down.
This one's probably from.
Yeah, that should be fine.
This one from last time.
Are you able to copy this?
Same result.
Why don't we actually just send in zero?
Well, so
Send
you
it
can't
rather than two copies.
do
Let me
this one.
just-
So,
What do you mean?
I again, because
Do you remember how to?
Well-
Open your virtual machine.
so if you're gonna use that.
You're actually in it. There you go. Maximize that.
Can you execute them?
The other one, that one. And you have it right there. The studio, Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, you have it right there. You have two, so you can just hover over this.
Alright, so
It allows you to see the
let's
enclosure.
go to,
It allows you to see the object here of the virtual machine. Of the virtual machine. Including that guy.
you can.
Let me just, edit this and then I'll send this to you.
Good.
Okay.
Start here. Sorry.
Turner, is this yours right here that you did?
Yeah,
Thanks for doing that.
I had a little OCD on that one.
Well, that's okay. Nothing wrong here, nothing wrong with that. But this is weird, we did grant request on this one.
Huh?
We imaged on this with grant request. You didn't image on this grant request on this one.
Then restarting.
Yep.
Oh, I see where you go, so this is the second one.
Right, it froze on that
Yeah.
part, so
Where
it's
person-
easy to identify what I need to do.
So this is a different type of inner join,
Yeah, these two inner joins actually
are the same as these two,
not quite.
except for there's a select statement within.
These two inner joins actually refer to the same table. Well, it's basically using this one as a filter.
I'm just wondering where you interjoined, in which way you interjoined
Yeah.
the grant request table with the person table. Is it here? Is it in this statement?
Yeah,
Just in a slightly different
Yeah.
way?
yeah. I did it this way because if
Yeah.
a person has
Do you
multiple
use
approved
person
grants,
date
Okay.
then
because
it's instead
you
of
changed
finding
the-
all of them, it'll just say, oh, you're in there.
Okay,
I had
okay.
person.
I'll look at this a little more closely to understand it. Thank you.
It's,
Yeah, it's basically true or false versus.
so where do I have that?
It might be slightly faster.
I see.
Person entry date from,
Thank you.
it actually doesn't matter. These need to match.
Yeah, there was some, right,
I mean, they don't need to match each other, but they need to match everything. So it depends on what the table says.
In the order.
Yeah, it's the order that matters. So when I did the one on the, is this client? When I did the DIM client,
Can you log into your email? So you can access this, as soon as I send it to you, and then you can.
I did person date entered.
That's why, just clear all of that, because it's a little confusing, I'll send you this one.
So it has to be
Just
person
kind of
date
the
enter, because that's what I have in my
correct-
dim table, but in the underlying table,
Because
it's
this is a
person
little
entry date.
combination of sleeves and denim.
Are you upgrading or
So I'm gonna
not
just send
upgrading?
you, this one, okay.
Oh, you're finally there. Yeah. I know this part is confusing. The hardest part, just to take us away, creating the dim tables and stuff can be a bit hard, especially in a more complicated database. But really, the hardest part of all of this is populating the tables. It gets really difficult to do that.
Right.
So mine is populated.
So Steve,
Yeah.
basically no, you don't have the count. You did not change anything from last,
I got
you changed distinct.
Yeah, basically, all I changed was the distinct, and then also I
So you
used
ran
Turner's query
Same person.
Okay.
for,
I'm just wondering, so I forgot. we did
for the
run
client,
it.
just to remove address duplicates.
Oh, yeah.
Did you reset it to your student? And after you did that, remember when I think a while ago, I reset it to your student? Yeah, and then you reset it as, I think, the password.
All right. Are we ready to move on, or do you need a few more moments?
Need just a few more minutes.
Sure. I'll just real quickly describe what the next step will be.
You took the distinct out of that one, because
And it's not
your
the one that's
example
written.
has.
This one actually takes the distinct.
Did you connect?
This one doesn't need the distinct because it uses this to remove duplicates.
Like Google, like Gmail?
But I did add distinct to the date.
Did you write the password?
Yeah, so insert into dim date, select
You
distinct.
want to reset it to your student?
Those are the only two big changes I made. And the effect is that there's only 89 rows in the fact table, which is about right, because that's how many
Do you
records
have
there are in
Andre?
the grant
Can you
table.
connect with the query on this Andre, and then we can put it in this computer?
So do we need to run
If you don't
alter
mind that.
tables?
You know what, the easiest thing to do,
Just drop them and then create them?
the easiest thing to do is to run the whole script from the top.
Okay.
It'll drop the whole database and then it'll recreate everything,
Oh,
and then
okay.
it'll populate.
So we can just run the whole thing again?
Right, otherwise you have to go through and delete all the records and all the tables. Right, it's
Yeah,
just-
that's what I was, oh, is that why we did the thing in the very top?
Yeah, that's why at the very top, a lot of times, it's a lot easier to just drop the database and recreate it than it is to fix
Yeah,
it.
so we want to execute this in, not master, but
Well, it's gonna start with master.
Yeah, just in.
start it in master.
Yeah, because you need to be outside the database in order to get rid of it. Also, you can't have a query window.
Right, if you have any queries open to it, it'll fail.
Do we run it again?
Yeah.
You got it? Okay.
Database diagrams too, those also have the database open.
No.
Right, yeah, the
Yeah,
diagrams have to be
Yeah, just
closed
highlight
and
that, okay. So I just ran it again, does that delete everything and then recreate everything?
it deletes it, recreates it, and if you have the inserts, it'll repopulate.
Do we, no, we don't have, oh, we have.
Yeah, so I mean,
I did, so it should be the right.
And then you had to select at the end, so.
What's that?
You obviously had to select at the end.
Yeah, right there.
Although,
What's that?
the trunk table, it
I
might have
didn't,
been.
I didn't add that one. I copied it from here,
Oh, okay.
because I just wrote this for my own
Right.
notes of what you were saying.
It's a dangerous
Yeah.
statement, that's why I was.
Also doesn't really work as all over references.
Right, so the thing is, in order to truncate the tables, we need to drop all of the. So are we almost ready to move on?
Is the effect grant finished?
Yeah, okay.
One spot.
Whoops. You're gonna have.
Yeah,
to-
so it, actually, I made no changes to
You're
it.
gonna have to.
Okay, I had notes that it wasn't finished, so I just wanted to make sure.
So what we did is the fact table. The fact table is fine. This, actually, my final query into the fact table is fine.
Okay.
What was wrong were what we did in the date one
No, it's
Because it wasn't distinct.
because it wasn't distinct, and then we had a couple of duplicates in the
because
cloud.
that's right.
Okay, so.
Just doing those two things fixes everything. This query is fine.
That's not the end of it, right? It's still got the due date at the bottom with the grant review date. That can join.
Yes.
Look on
Okay, great.
so C.
And notice I've got 89 rows here, so if I do a quick
I'm not exactly sure.
select star from fact grant will give us, let me bring this up.
Can you remember what it
It should just be localhost.
is here? I just put in local.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, it's right.
So it gives us the employee key that's involved, the client key, the type, grant type, the them grant key, the, you know, all of this stuff we can do stuff with in the
Where is that?
business analysis when we get there. So this felt really chaotic, was it? Yeah.
I'm not
There,
saying
there.
this red thread was the way up.
How many words?
No, I think you were maybe holding it.
Oh, so one of the
right
things
click.
you need to do, you can make
Because then I saw that the minute you took your finger off the mouse, instead of it saying you were highlighting, it not, it wasn't highlighted anymore. So you might have been dragging, like, clicking on this instead of this.
Oh, thank you for reading. Thank you.
The client has.
Yeah, I figured. Sorry. Right here, okay? Thank you.
You'll have a few more. Just doing the thing for good date. Okay, so you had a question, Brianna?
Are you gonna record this? 'Cause
I am
DM
recording.
doesn't wanna like come up.
This is business intelligence. Yeah, this is the version not one for the first part of the business intelligence. Yeah.
We just did the first two.
It'll switch between here and like that.
Yeah, was this the data warehouse or was that in the second class?
No, this is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
And it's all part of
This
this.
would be pretty dead, this whole crazy. Why?
Hold down Alt.
It's weird, it actually worked.
Just control alt delete.
And we took turns, we took the one part of his that didn't work and populated with turners, and then he added, and another part of his, he added the link distinct, so it's got both of those directions.
You could kill it, but I don't know if you want to do that. Should we end it or do you want to use it? See if it comes back. We may have to restart.
Wait, what do you think?
So that's Asia thing.
It's not.
Froze.
Copy the whole thing again from my side.
Do you need to redo all of what we just did?
Probably.
I think what you should do is also control C.
You just have to take that whole,
So one of the things you could do if you want is just take, in the blog,
And
just use Turner's script from the top to the bottom.
Word notepad is the next one.
you can start.
Okay.
Word, type in Word, and that's the word processing.
So are we ready?
We have the truncated version.
All right, so having done this, keep this open because we're gonna need parts of this to the script. But let's start the Visual Studio, because we're gonna create an SSIS.
It's like Word, it's like Microsoft Word.
It's just a rich text editor.
You know, like, you can type things and save things and edit things. You know what Microsoft Word is. This This is
Okay,
a-
so what we really want to do here is we want to make this so that we can repopulate this all the time. And the reason we want to do that is that the data warehouse is offline, it's not live, right? So the community assist would presumably be live, but the data warehouse would not. And you'd want to repopulate it on a regular basis, possibly every night. You know, however often you want to update your analysis. There's the Blue Angels.
Oh, I saw that.
Is it that time of the year?
Yeah, it is that time of year.
It's so cool that you can hear them through all this.
I used to be able to see them from my old office.
They used to-
but-
they used to come
I used to be able to tolerate going to watch them.
I don't mind, but I don't.
There's cool.
Yeah.
It's just deafening though.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to do, we want to make a SQL Server integration package like we did the very first thing we did this summer, which even though summer is short, seems like a long time ago. And we want to make that kind of package. This is really what it's made for, is something where you would want to repopulate it on a regular basis. Because you don't want to go through this hassle all the time, right? Write all of these. So leave the script up though, because we're going to need parts of it.
You want to use the wizard? Or-
Let's just do the regular one. So I'm going to, and you need to run it in admin. So Visual Studio 2015, and you do want to run it as administrator. If it's not here, you can go down to all apps and find it. But Visual Studio, right click on it and make sure you can run it as administrator. For the same reasons as before, it won't. You can build it without being an administrator, but you can't run it without being an administrator. So I am going to say yes.
And did you want to?
Why is it staying in the background? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I want to file new project. And we want an integration services project. We don't need the wizard. Let's give it a name. Community Assist DW. I don't know what else we want to name it. Project. So I'm just giving it a name, as I said, and I'm going to do OK.
Where's the DW come from?
Data warehouse. Again, it's just a simple convention. You don't have to do that. So I'm going to kill the Getting Started tab. If you want to look at it sometime, you can. Yeah. Well, it has this little, Get Started thing. So we need a go ahead. They must have hit the wrong project.
No, it's right here. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, really?
Whoa. Not sure what that's doing. Huh. It looks like a lot of your windows are free flowing.
Are we gonna do add new item, new SSIS package, and then do a data flow test?
So the first thing we're going to do is we'll add a connection, right? So I'm going to just do a connection manager, new connection manager. And this time we actually want, see if I can find it, probably OLEDB. It's weird that in the connection manager there's no actual like SQL Server. OLEDB allows you to connect to SQL Server. Right? I right-clicked on Connection Manager. over in the other, yeah, in the Solution Explorer. Part of me wants to explain OLEDB, but I'm not sure that would be wise. Anybody know what it stands for? Just curiosity.
Same.
OLEDB.
The database is kind of old.
Well, it's not really old. It's actually fairly current. It's just more generic. It stands for Object Linking Embedded Database. So one of the big, no, it's not going to be on the phone. One of the big advances that Microsoft made early in its development of Windows was what they called OLE. Anybody remember that? Object Linking and Embedding. In the world of DOS, in the first versions of Windows were essentially just shells on DOS. You can't, every program is isolated, 100% isolated. You can't copy and paste between programs. You can't have two programs open at the same time. You can't, I mean, it's basically one program totally occupies the OS and the memory and the processor. There's no, multitasking. So in Windows, they introduced object linking and embedding, and basically what it was a set of tools that allowed you, for the first time ever, to cut and paste. But basically allowed programs to recognize each other. It allowed them to, you created the clipboard, right, and things like that. The DB part of it is that before OLEDB and some of these, databases, again, were totally, data in general was totally isolated. So this allowed you to connect to other databases. OLEDB is still current. The thing is, the OLEDB drivers will let you connect. I could connect to MySQL with them. I could connect to Oracle with them. They're very non-specific. Microsoft built specific drivers for SQL Server that you can use, and the specific drivers for Oracle and things, which give you the virtues or the features of those database systems. This doesn't. This just gives you the generic connections. Yeah.
For an example, one of these specific versions would be the ADO.NET driver.
Well, so the ADO is, the ADO can actually work with, so there are different versions. When you do the ADO, there's the SQL client ADO set, right? SQL client are those that are specifically for SQL Server. There's an Oracle client. There's a MySQL client that you can get. It's not part of the package, but you can go get it. There's actually other, there's actually a Mongo client if you wanted to do NoSQL. And what they are, but the ADO has all the same objects. They all have the data set. They all have the ADO is basically a collection of objects that you have to implement if you're going to do C# data connectivity. Does that make sense? You are required to implement a data set object. You're required to implement a data table object. You are required to implement a connection object. There's a series of about a dozen objects that you have to implement if you're going to create a driver. And OLEDB has all of them, but they're generic, whereas the others are specific. So yes and no, I guess. Anyway, we're just going to do this. So actually, it's interesting. It came up with Community Assist right away. Do you guys have it?
Yes.
Okay. You can say okay on it. If I'm going to leave it as okay, but if you don't have it, you can do new. And then this is, again, a thing you've seen 100 times before: localhost, Windows authentication, connect to a database, and then it'll ask you to select the database. So localhost, again, I'll just fill it out, but I won't do it. Once I've said localhost Windows authentication, it shows me all the databases out there. Actually, I wonder if we might actually want a new one. because we might want the DW one here.
Hi, Steve.
Yeah.
How about the server name is not local host? Then I set up, I install, how do I give a name?
If you gave the server a name, then you need to do the name.
How do I browse on local?
So if you do it if you gave the server a name,
Yeah.
you always need to do like dot backslash and whatever that name is.
Yeah.
The dot backslash stands for your machine. Now, if you're on a domain, you'd have to do like the domain name.
I mean, so how I know how to start and how do I use a browse as a local host?
You can't. If you named your thing, you don't have a local host.
I have to use it.
You have to use the name. If you named your server, you do not have a local host. If you're
use the name and then slash.
So it should be like dot backslash name, or
It's okay.
what this dot stands for is the computer name. So whatever your computer name is,
Dot
slash
slash name
database name, or not database name, database server name.
on the browser.
What?
On the browser. On the.
Well, in this, let's connect to I think we want to connect to DW, so I think we actually do want to do this.
We need to get rid of the connection to community assist if we already have it.
Yeah, so, well, we said new connection. Let's see what happens if I do this. Do we have two? We do. Yeah, I think it's okay to have both.
I mean, yours is just a data source you aren't using.
Yeah, I mean, we basically what it'll do is it'll give us, I don't think we need a connection with Community Assist actually, because we're building everything in our queries. We might need it. I don't know. I'm trying to remember when I did this last
Yeah,
week.
I think you would, if you're running are we basically going to be running the SQL query?
We're going to be running the SQL queries that we did pretty much.
Yeah, okay, so we would need both. Just because we're going through both.
But I wonder if we need two connection managers. Let's see what happens. So this is DW. We could just to be, so I'm not sure. Let's see what happens. We might have to make another one too.
Well, I'm curious what will and won't work.
Yeah, I'm curious too. It's been a while since I did this. What we want actually, this is a little bit different than what we did at Core, where we did like data flow and then did outline that. We're going to do mostly SQL tasks, right? So I'm going to execute an SQL task.
Or DW.
I think it'll be in, this one for sure will be in DW. So I double clicked it. And we have the OLEB connection, but we have to say which connection. And we're going to do localhost, right? So under the SQL statement, I'm just going to click the three dots.
Localhost CW.
Yeah, localhost, community assist
Those are the
DW.
only two things you've changed so far.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've changed.
Run the SQL statement.
Yeah, we're going to do a SQL statement, although it might be easier to build it here.
Or you can double check it. I don't know.
Yeah, and then copy and paste it. So what we want to do, I wish I had a bigger window. We actually want to drop each of these constraints. So I am going to do I want to like just a new query window? I'm going to have to flip back and forth. I want to drop PK employee, drop constraint PK employee, drop constraint PK dim client, drop constraint dim PK grant type. Although you can't do it in that order. We have to drop the foreign keys first. I'll just do it down here. So let's do, I'm going to go from the bottom up. Drop FK date. So you want to do drop constraint. And then I'm going to do drop constraint FK grant. That should have a T on it. Why does it not like that?
Maybe not being-
Do I need to say foreign key? Or the foreign were spelled right?
Yep, that sounds like it.
Two more line, you get the phone.
What? Still doesn't like foreign. Why is my, should just be able to drop the constraint. I don't know why.
Do we have to write the whole thing?
No.
Update date, foreign key dim date, references.
Oh, it's alter table.
Oh, alter table drop. Yes, thank you.
No.
I knew that.
Constraint.
Alter table. Fact grant. Drop constraint, yeah. And we basically will need to do this. All the foreign keys are in fact grant, right?
Counts with all the table each time.
Right. I wonder if you can do it with commas.
Yeah.
Only altering background.
No, it doesn't like commas. I didn't think it did. I think you have to do them one at a time.
And then a key date or grant.
Fact grant, yeah.
No, the next foreign key or grant.
Oh, yeah.
So we basically working from the bottom up.
Yeah, we're basically going from the bottom up. And I'm going to copy and paste that. We'll just change it every time. So we got date and grant, and the next one is FK. I got it, date grant,
And type, and then client.
and then grant type, yeah. It's awkward to do this. It'd be nice to have the windows side by side. I think you can do that, but
You've done that a few times before, but you don't have a very big.
I don't have a very big screen, no. So we got client, right?
And then employee.
Okay. Is that the last of them?
Yeah.
And then we need to drop the primary keys then. So we would do,
I don't think we need to do that. All I did was just drop constraints for the forward keys, and I'm able to truncate the main.
All right.
Dimension tables.
Are we gonna start from the bottom up as we're going?
well, we could try, so we could try it with just these.
It's only 5, right?
Yeah. If we, I mean, usually when I've had people do this, they do drop everything, but we'll see. I guess that when you apply them afterwards, if there were any conflicts, it would still cause problems. So I'm going to just copy that.
You need one more.
What one do I need?
It's top, but it's not highlighted.
Oh, I see what you mean. I did it, I just forgot to copy it. So I'm going to go to, again, to the Visual Studio. I will hit the 3 buttons and I'll paste this in there. The little 3 dots beside the SQL statement. So the reason we're dropping all of these is so that we can insert without, so we can truncate all the tables and then insert without problems.
And you needed to actually help them in Microsoft Studio first before. putting
I
them in this.
didn't, no, I'm not gonna run them in Studio. I just typed in there to get the syntax.
Oh, I
make sure
actually
did
ran
it.
them.
No, oh, you shouldn't have.
Well, I can just read.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't aware. I thought that's why we were doing it. So
We're doing it, we want to run it in our,
should I do alter table, the add constraints again then?
you can. It actually shouldn't. One of the problems that can arise here, and you might want to do like an error thing, is that if you dropped them like in the window and then you run these, it'll say, well, these constraints don't exist.
Yeah.
And that will throw a bunch of errors. So I'm going to do okay on that. And if you want to parse your query to make sure it's okay, do bypass prepare as false and you can parse the query. And then it says it parsed correctly.
I need to then call for the cards.
And we could, since it's execute, let's name this. And what we'll name it is, we'll call it drop foreign keys.
So you hit okay to force the.
Yeah. And then I'm going to do another SQL task. Actually, I'm going to cancel it. I'm going to pull this down. And basically what we're going to do is truncate tables. We'll use the DW connection. And then for the SQL statement, which we could do in the window, or we could do it here, truncate table, we started with employee, right? Dim employee. None of this, you couldn't truncate any of these, although you could do it in reverse order if you want. Just to be careful. So you could start with fact grant, but it doesn't matter too much now that the foreign keys are dropped. Truncate table dim, what was the last one, date? Again, the order shouldn't matter as long as all the keys are dropped. Dim date, dim grant, dim client.
Date, grant type, client, employee.
And what this will do, what truncate does, is it wipes out the table data but leaves the table intact. You can have the same effect with delete with no where clause.
Wipes up the, say that again, wipes up the data in the table, delete the table.
It leaves the table intact. So truncate is a way of removing all data from the table.
Should we, okay.
So we should be able to do okay.
Can you still hear the mix of
Does parsing mean that it runs the SQL to make sure there's no contextual errors?
Yes. I'll make it bigger. Control. So I need the zoom to make that bigger. I'll get it back. Is that a little better?
Oh, yeah.
You don't, which seems like you should need them, but
What did you ask if you need one?
semicolons.
Oh, okay.
What
To
else we
separate
change?
the,
Nothing, this is just, we just truncated every table. It's important that you truncate every table. Otherwise, what happens, what you don't want to do is when you add the new data, you don't want it to just pile up on top of the old data. So we can do okay. Are you guys ready? And I might lower this for a moment. And then just do, so if you want to parse it, you can do false for bypass. And you can parse it to make sure you didn't type something wrong. I want the false. I thought I set it to false. Maybe I did that before. So it says that it parsed correctly. In order for it to parse, bypass has to be false. I think that basically when it says true, they're just assuming that you know what you're doing with your SQL, and you're not going to bother to parse it. Yeah.
Where the drop foreign keys, SQL test editor, could both of those need to be false also?
The which ones?
The first one you did?
It doesn't have to be. This doesn't have to be false. What it does is that if it is false, it will parse it before it runs it. So you'll get the SQL errors. Otherwise, it'll just fail if the SQLs fail. So what it's doing is when it's bypassing the parsing step if you say true, which gains you a millisecond or so. But it should have no effect whether it's true or false. But you can go back and change it if you want. All right, so we've dropped all the keys. So basically what we have is all the keys are gone, and we've all the foreign keys. We've emptied all the tables. Now what we want to do is repopulate all the tables, right? And this I am not sure. This is the part where I'm not sure about the if we need another source. I am going to leave it at the DW source, and let's see what happens. For the SQL statement, what I want is basically all of our insert statements. So if we go to where we were before, we got the insert into dim employee. I'm just going to select all the inserts through the fact table. I'll delete the one that I commented out. So these are all the inserts that we did before. We don't want the select at the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to go back here. I'm going to, in the SQL statement, click, do this. I got every insert. I'll walk through them, including the fact table. I'm going to delete the one I commented. So we've got insert into employee, right? So this is the insert into employee one. We've got the insert into client one. I might put a go there. I don't know that it needs the goes in here, but I'm going to.
So we select from, so we start from the one where we are altering the tables?
No,
after that.
just the inserts.
Okay. Just the insert.
Just the inserts. So if you go back here,
I got it.
yeah.
from
You want all the inserts.
before the column is thing and clothing.
So you want the insert into dim employee, the insert into dim client.
I take away the comments.
Yeah, I don't think the comments will hurt, but you can,
I think it's okay to leave it in there.
I think it's okay. We can test it in a second. I got rid of most of my comments. I am putting a go between each table, although again, I don't think that matters too much. Inserts don't require separate batches. So I'm going to do okay, and I definitely want to parse this one. Says it'll parse. Doesn't mean it'll work. If you want to look at it again, you can, if I can get away from that, just want to click, there we go. You can kind of look at it. This can also be widened out. You know, you can make it bigger if you want. But I just copied and pasted from that. So that's the inserts. Questions on that? There's one other thing I want to do. Anybody have an idea what that might be?
Re-add, foreign key constraints.
Yes. Constraints. So, same general things. We want our connection. I'm going to say this will be the same connection. That's actually, I'm sure this connection is correct. For the what we're going to copy in here, it's all the tables, but only the ones for the foreign keys, so not the primary keys because we didn't get rid of those. So I'm going to do alter table fact grant, and then all the ones that added the foreign keys. Yeah, I'll try.
Primary key.
Oh, so I didn't need that one.
No, just the one.
Just the ones after that. I don't want any drop constraints. I just want to add the foreign keys.
So you should have 5.
There should be 5 of them. So I'll click the 3 dots. I'll paste. And then I'll parse it just to be careful. It's always possible when you're cutting and pasting that you get something wrong, you forget a character or something. You want me to go through that again? So let's walk through these and then we'll try to run it. And then we might go back to Community Assist and add a little data and then run it again to see if the data is reflected. So basically we're going through and we're going to drop all the foreign keys. That's because you can't truncate it if there's any dependencies. We're going to truncate the tables, remove all the data. We're going to insert the data again from the database. And then we're going to re-add the foreign key constraints that we dropped. So I'm going to try to run this. I'm going to just start it. If we get errors, we can troubleshoot them. Looks like it worked just fine. Did your guys' work okay?
I need to run through.
Package execution completed with error.
So what are the errors? So the way you run it is you click the little, just
Did not drop from
start.
start.
What was the error?
Okay, grant date is not.
I had that too, it means you already deleted it.
Did you run this inside of here? Or that, you shouldn't run it inside of here.
I didn't, like, initially. Everything I did that.
So what you want to do in your database is run the add constraints again.
Oh, actually, I found another way to do it, and this might work a little bit better. So I wrapped, the entire SQL in, try catch blocks,
Oh, okay.
then I just had an empty catch. Basically.
So
ignore
it
the
just, yeah, although the danger in that is that you'll have no idea if something goes wrong.
Yeah, and actually, if it doesn't come in error, then it'll only delete some of them, but not all of them.
Yeah.
Error.
What errors? You have the error on the second one.
So I
Okay.
forgot. But I forgot, okay.
Okay. Here's word, here's word, here's word. Here's the.
It's got something, an issue with the connection manager.
Oh, let's look at this, so,
It's on the path foreign keys, but we'll start here because that's where it starts.
yeah, just double click it and then get in there and, connection, click there and then add the DW. You have the local community assist one. So we want to actually make a different connection.
That, all right.
So cancel this, go to the connection manager. Well, we could do it there, but, let's just edit that one.
We want a DW, right?
Yeah, so just from the drop down list.
It's in there.
Oh, it does say DW. Okay, so there, so do okay. So why is that? But double click it and get the properties, although we can stop running. So connection, did I just not read it last time?
It's not
Still,
so
so
maybe
close.
we could do new. And
Yeah,
then
do, and then choose the,
New, and then type it in here.
so there, do localhost.
Yeah, we just did. Right.
It's 30-second timeout. Actually, yeah, it's still 30-second timeout. But type localhost and then choose,
DW. Okay.
anyone else have issues with this? Let's double, what is the error? Let's put a cursor over here. Thanks. Did you add the primary key stuff? I think what we want to do. We have an we never draw it. I think it'll run now. Go. So, we need to do one thing outside of the video. We need to have, let's see, we can, we can't drop it. So I think we can. Yeah, just.
Okay, anyway.
So what is the, did you type it in?
Yes.
So let's go back.
Hope you got
Where we can. Then you're okay. Now, there's one other thing that probably have to do. We need to add in the more keys within Chrome. So let's go here. Now we can. At least do that one. Did you get it to run?
Yeah, they were.
It's looking happy.
Yep. So if we look at the database, I'm going to just do a new query and do like a select star from dim employee, just to make sure everything is populated. And then we'll add some stuff and run it again. And then we might publish the package. So it has all the employees, right? The employee key, when they were hired, etc. Employee 1 has 2 positions. So one of the things you'd have to be careful of is that if you were doing some calculations on salary, you don't want to double their salary. Client. Well, what did we do next? Select star from client. I'm just making sure of dim client. So we have 85 rows. And the person key, one person could have asked more than once. So it's possible that a person key could repeat. I wonder if there are repeats. Order by. No, it doesn't look like they repeat. I think I might have said, did I say distinct on these? I do not see any repeats. That's good, actually.
It repeats on line 22 and 23 for me.
You know what? The repeats would probably be if they had 2 addresses. We talked about that, and I said it was okay.
Oh,
if
yeah,
that,
and they are 2 different zip codes.
yeah.
But you have the same person key?
Yeah, they could. If you didn't use Turner's, if you use mine, you'll get the repeat on the zip if they have different zip codes. Yeah. That's okay though. So I'm going to do from the fact table. Fact grant. So everything seems to be populated okay. Everything seems to be good. I have 89 rows. I might have a slightly different number than yours because in classes and stuff, I always add stuff. What do we want to add just to see? Let's go to Community Assist and add something that we can see pretty easily in the data warehouse if we repopulate. I think one of the easiest things to see would be if we added an employee.
Why did you do new database?
What?
Why did you do new database?
I didn't do new database. I just went to Community Assist and did a new query.
Oh, I thought you hit the first one.
No, new query. I just wanted this query to be in Community Assist. Let's do insert into person. And I'm not going to necessarily insert into all the columns. I'm going to do first name, last name. Do we need email? I think email is nullable. Is everything nullable? Entry date is not nullable. We don't need, a lot of these things for, so I'm going to do values. Anybody have a good last name that isn't in there?
Schwartzman.
What? Schwartz?
Schwartzman. Give it Schwartz.
Schwartz, yeah. There might even be a Schwartz in there, but Schwartz.
I'm gonna put myself in.
You can. So I just need an entry date, so let's just get date. So I'm only entering the fields that I have to enter. And then I'm going to insert into person address. And just do a little bit of a minimal address, because again, most of this doesn't matter for the data warehouse. Yeah, everything's nullable except the key.
Oh, sorry, I was reading it the wrong way.
I just want to do, and we want the zip, right? So let's do just street. We want the person key, but let's do just person and zip, and the person key. We do want the person key. No, we don't want that one. That's an auto number.
Oh, I see.
So I'm just going to do 1000 Nowhere Street. The zip 98001, wherever, or 2 I did, wherever that is. Person key, I'm going to do current ident. Actually, it's ident current. I always do it in reverse. Person. Okay. And then I'm going to insert into employee.
Just go back to the object as well.
What?
The object as well, so you can see what table you're using.
So it says right, I'm using person address.
I don't know, go back into the object.
So I'm going to do just employee. We're making a new employee. So what I want to do is repopulate the database and see if it reflects the new stuff, right? And I'm doing employee because there aren't very many of them. So it'd be easy here to see them. So so I want the person key.
We're still on community assist.
What?
No, just community assist.
This is community assist, all community assist. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna run our thing again and see if the changes are reflected.
So you want all of them.
Yeah, so we need, the person key is ident current again. I haven't run these yet. Hire date is just get date. And the salary, what are we gonna pay them? All right, so we need a position, insert into employee position. So a lot goes into hiring a new employee. So we need the employee key. So that would be ident current employee. Oh, actually, that's for values. Employee key, position key. I have no idea what the positions are. Does anybody know what the, should we just do position 1 or 2? This is not part of what we're going to run, but just select star from position.
4 is grant reviewer, so that might be.
Okay, we could do, let's do 4. So we have a new employee. So we're doing a new person, giving them an address, we're inserting them into employee, and we're giving them a position. So I'm going to run all of those. Yeah. Well, they have to match what you do up at top. Does that make sense?
And then the role for employee position case first.
Oh, it doesn't matter as long as you specify. And as long as these are in the same order. It doesn't matter what the order is in the table, but the order in the values has to match the order that you list them up above. So let's look at our employee. I'm just going to do select star from employee. I just want to know what the employee key is. So it's 7, right? 153 is the person key. Employee key is 7. And it was added today. And we're getting 45,000. Okay. So we'll run the update one more time. Your numbers could be different. So are we okay with that? You've done the inserts. This is actually not essential to the thing. It's just to, so I'm going to start. Okay, so it ran through it all again. And if I go back here and we go to, so this is dim again. This is, so if we select star from dim employee, we now have the 7. Do we? Yeah, we do. It's in the middle for whatever reason. And it's today, and 45,000 and grant reviewer. So if we got all of the information, it updated the information.
So what are we supposed to do? I think I'm a start. You did some start.
Oh, I went back to the, Did you run it again in the,
Community assist?
yeah.
No.
So you need to run this again. And basically what it
So
does,
stop and then start it again.
yeah, stop it and then start it again. So when you run it, every time you run it, it drops the keys, it empties the data from the tables, it inserts the data again from the table, so any new data is added. And then it adds in the foreign keys again. The very last thing I'm going,
Hang on a second.
and then I just did a select to make sure it did that. And dim employee.
What do you call it? Stop the what?
What?
What do you reference to says stop the what? That whole thing is the,
Oh, the SSIS?
I don't know. What,
I just stopped it, I don't know.
what's it though? What do you call it? Just as I take notes, so I can, that's
I
just.
have no idea what I called it. It's basically the SSIS, the control flow or the data flow or the SQL.
There we go.
All right, one last thing I'm gonna do and we'll call it good for launch, because I don't really want to start the data cube right now. We'll start working on that on Tuesday. And then we'll do it, this whole thing again with Metro Alt. I can either let you guys try it on your own, or we can walk through it. Well, you guys can decide by early next week. This is a little bit complicated, so walking through, maybe even at least walking through the data warehouse part, building the data warehouse with Metro Alt. So what I would do here is I'm going to right click on the package and let's deploy it. And where we want to deploy it is again to basically it'll deploy it to SQL Server. So I'm going to do next, and we'll go ahead. So the way I did this, let's cancel. So I right clicked on the package, the actual package. And then I did deploy package.
Steve,
Yeah,
Steve, you're gonna fail.
probably.
Yeah, the project is set for SQL Server 2016.
So we need to go to the properties first. Actually, is it configuration properties? Oh yes, so target version needs to be 2014. So let me show how I did that again. I went to the project level, just below the solution, right click, properties, and then I did configuration properties general. And it says target version 2016, and we need to change that to 2014.
It's still failing.
Is it?
Yeah.
What error are you getting?
It says package deployment mode is not supported on anything lower than 16.
Is there somewhere else?
Can you please show again where you click to change it? Where you click on the Solution Explorer?
So I did properties.
I'm going to show that
Okay. It may not work if we can't
on the
deploy it.
SSIS packages. On the project itself.
Yeah, in the project itself, properties. Common properties. Project. I'm just looking to see, and then I did general, and I tried to change that to 2014. It says it's not capable of doing it. Build, deployment. If it fails, it's not a huge deal. It's just that if you deploy it, then you can get it so it automatically runs whenever you wanted it to run. Why did it?
Like a scheduled job?
Yeah.
Yeah, it closes it.
So I did deploy package. Why is it not seeing the server? Oh, server name, cancel. That isn't true. We did it before. Remember we deployed the package, but it was an SSIS package.
It was 2012.
What version of this are we
Hit
on?
next. Locals.
As I said, it's not super critical for this. But it's,
You can change it to 2012 mode, still looking like me.
I just noticed that it's right now. What do we have? Oh, actually,
it's 2014. Which is the last, actually, so 2016 isn't an official version yet. It's a community preview version. I have it at home. If this doesn't work, that's fine. I wonder if there's somewhere else. Properties, general, that says 2014 now. Build, configuration properties, common properties. Is there anything in here that says? No. So let's do OK. Properties on the package. Doesn't really give me anything except its path.
You deploy the project instead of package.
Let's try that. Let's. So does it have deploy? It does.
Well, I was looking for the error message.
Oh,
It showed that deploying the package in 2016.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that may be. If you deploy the whole project. Now this is Community Assist new request. I wonder if we should make a new folder.
Wait, how did you get there?
All right, so let's cancel it all. So I'm deploying from the project, not the package.
I think the change was splitting it by package was the update.
Yeah. So you can't do that before 2016. Actually, in here, I think I'm going to, just for clarity, down where we go to Integration Services Catalogs, SSIDB. I think I want to do a Community Assist new request. Let's add I'm going to create a folder. And I'm going to create this folder, Community Assist Warehouse. So this is way down in the Object Explorer. So there's Integration Services Catalog. And what I did is on SSISDB, I right-clicked on that, and I added a folder, Community Assist, just so I don't have to put it in the same as the Community Assist New Requests folder. You may not have that if you didn't deploy last time. And if you didn't deploy last time, you need to enable this, right? The Integration Services Catalog. Again, deployment isn't a big part of this assignment, but I just wanted to show you that you could deploy it and get it so that you can automate this populating of the, so integration services catalog is really very close to the bottom, right above the SQL Server agent. And then there's an SSIS DB. Again, if there isn't, you need to like create a catalog. And then you need to create a folder under the SSIDB. And again, we could have done it in the existing folder if you have it, but I did a new folder. If you don't have the other one, don't worry. If you have nothing, do create catalog, and then on this, create a new folder. So, and I'll walk through it again. I'm going to deploy at the project level. And then localhost, I'm going to browse the path. I'm going to do the Community Assist Warehouse. I'm going to do next, and now I'm going to deploy, and it does it. I knew we deployed before.
Source.
Select destination. Just do localhost.
Browse doesn't really work.
Yeah, browse doesn't work with localhost or with databases in general. I do not know why. Yeah.
Hey, Steve,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to.
Right. All right. So don't deploy from the package. Cancel. So yes. Right click on it. There you go. Deploy from there. That was the mistake I was making. You might still have to change the. Did you change the thing to 2014?
I'm running on 2012 right now.
Okay. If it doesn't work, it is still possible you might have to change the properties. So having been deployed, when I go here under Community Assist, we have the projects, and we have the Community Assist project, DW project, which is what I named it. And then we have the package DTX. Yeah. Now, I don't know if we want to do this right now, but to deploy it on a schedule, remember those of you in the afternoon class, management, all those things. So we'd have to start up the SQL Server agent, go in there, create a job, and the job would be to execute this. You want to do that, or just let's see if we can do it. So we need to start this SQL Server agent. So start. Yes, and yes.
Stop first.
Right?
You don't have to stop.
If it's running, you don't have to stop it.
So make a new job.
Your SQL Server agent is running?
Yeah, just need a new job.
Yeah, so we just need a new job. So let's do a new job. And the job would be to run Community Assist, whatever we want to name it. Actually, let's call it Populate. Community Assist DW. All right, and you can give it a description if you want. I'm just looking. I don't know that any of this matters. None of them really described it, so let's keep it uncategorized. So steps. This is the tricky part. Oh, I said okay, didn't want to do that. So I'm going to say the step name is execute package. And I'm looking for SQL Server Inter-Services package. So run as SQL Server agent account, SSI catalog.
Can I ask how you got this new stuff?
What?
New job stuff. I went on stuff and it didn't say that.
So this is new.
God, I swear to God, I can't even see this.
So we want localhost, which I should have typed in. Actually, the server might be SSIDB. Let's try SSISDB. Package. If it's not, it might be.
Can you just hold on a second?
Well, I'm trying to figure it out as I go too. So. Yeah. Localhost is what I wanted.
Did you want, SSD in the community assist, did you want the community assist project, those different?
Right, so what I did, okay, so on this one, this is all the step.
Yeah.
So this is all in a new step. I called it execute package. I did SQL Server Integration Services package as a type, and that gave me the rest of the dialog. This is the package. It's from the SSI catalog, localhost, Windows authentication. I clicked the three dots, and I went into SSIS, Community Assist, and then the package. Does that make sense? So I basically went down the tree of folders to find the package that we want. My first mistake was I wasn't sure. This is just still localhost. And this is the whole job. I mean, this is the job that we want. So I'm going to just say OK. But do you need a minute there? I'm going to look at configuration real quickly. Yeah, it looks okay. I don't know what that would include. I'm going to do OK. I'm going to set up a schedule. So it quits with success. That's what it was telling me. So if you look at the steps, on failure, quit the job. On success, go to the next step. There actually won't be any next step, but that's all right. On failure, quit the job. So let's schedule it. I don't know that we need any alerts, right? We could do that if we want, but. So I'm going to do schedules. So we've done general, right? We've done steps.
It's telling me to select the catalog package, and then I'm not going on to do this.
So you click, yeah, so do OK. Click the three dots.
And then but I went down to and tried this. It doesn't allow me to click OK once it's selected.
Did it get deployed? So if it didn't get deployed, there's nothing to run.
Okay, so I'd click deploy here, and then that will work out.
Yeah.
I thought that we were doing this before we.
No. We do this after you deploy.
Okay.
Because what the deploy does is it puts the package in the server. All right, so schedules, I'm going to edit the schedule. Let's say we want to run it on Thursday. Yes. Thursday at 11:37. And PM.
What do you want?
I do on AM, thank you. So yeah, I gotta give it a name real quick. Run DW package. I gotta close this and do OK before 11:37. I can walk through it again. As I said, this isn't actually part of any of the assignment. So I'll see if it runs in a minute. So it says 11:37. The trick with this is then I'm going to look at the job history or view history. And it says that it ran at 11:37. It says the job name is to populate assist. The job succeeded. So it says it succeeded, that it ran. And one of the things you could test if you wanted to test it is we could have done an insert or something beforehand to make sure that it had run.
Where's the one you were doing?
I just right click on the populate, the one I did, and then job history.
I see. You just read.
Yeah. Have you run it yet?
I was supposed to at 38.
So the point of this being that you could automate these to run when you want them.
Here.
Yeah, just got there before. Questions on any of this? As I said, the whole automating part, I just wanted to show you could do it. It wasn't part of the assignment. And with a data warehouse, this would actually be something you'd probably want to do, right? Because you'd want to repopulate it, refresh it at a regular interval so that your data is semi-current. So there's one more step of this, and then we'll do the Metro Alt one. The next step we'll do, though, on Tuesday, and that's actually try to create a data warehouse. We've got the data warehouse. We've got it populated. Got it so we can repopulate it if we add data. And then we will create a play with the business tools. And it will be kind of playing with the business tools. We'll create a cube.
To the next Tuesday.
Yeah, and doing that kind of stuff. Also, that gives me time to practice it. Because data cubes confuse me a little.
Is today video available?
Right?
Is today video available?
I still didn't hear.
I mean, the
Oh, I did video, yes.
right? Awesome, thanks.
If the video worked, that's a different question. Come on. Why is it sometimes my mouse will go up here and sometimes it won't? It looks like it worked.
There's a command.